Shay Merritté. This speech is a Hanukkah story. A Hanukkah story. Please welcome Shay Merritté.
So, I grew up in a Jewish household. Although, when I say Jewish, I like to put an emphasis on the last part and say Jewish. Because we really didn't celebrate any part of the religion or faith. We never went to temple. When I was 13, I did not have a really cool Star Wars themed birthday or mitzvah. And bacon cheeseburgers, which are probably the least kosher item available in the world, regularly grace their dinner table. But there were 3 Jewish things that we did do. The first was when it was time to sign up for a family gym, given the option between the YMCA and the Jewish Community Center, we chose the JCC. The fact that it was 20 minutes closer to our house didn't hurt either. The second thing that we did was that my mom would speak Yiddish to us all the time. I would walk home from school and she'd say something like, I had to schlep the aldercockers all over the Michiganoi. The only problem was she never taught us Yiddish. We really had any idea what she was saying. And the third thing that we did, what I'd like to tell our fellow Toastmasters and guests about today, is how the Merritté family celebrated Hanukkah, which was the only Jewish holiday we did celebrate. My first memory of Hanukkah was when I was 3 or 4, and my mom read us the new classic Hanukkah story, Herschel and the Hanukkah Goblins, about a man named Herschel and the goblins that would terrorize his town for the 8 days of Hanukkah. And this story taught me 2 very important lessons about Hanukkah. The first is that it lasts 8 days. And the second is that on the 6th day, there's going to be a goblin who's going to break into your house, but you're going to find him because his hand will be stuck in the pickle jar. Yeah. But as I got older, I was given more responsibility during our Hanukkah celebrations. My first, and probably the most important responsibility, was lighting the candles on the menorah. The menorah is a 9-candled candelabra that is supposed to represent the candelabra that was in the second Hebrew temple that got ransacked by Syrians in 200 BC when the Hebrew rebels drove out the Syrians. It's a very important story because it's about the miracle of one lone pot of olive oil that was able to sustain this candelabra for 8 days, which is amazing. So there's lots of prayers and songs that go along with the lighting of the candles, and over food, and the wine that you're supposed to, or grape juice, because I was not old enough, that you're supposed to drink as you're doing it. But as I said earlier, we never went to temple, so we did not know any of these songs or prayers. So at a certain point, we decided to make up our own. So on the first night of Hanukkah, me and my sister would stand together as I lit the first candle and sing the song. It went something like this. I'm going to teach you today. Hanukkah, 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 Hanukkah. It's the first night of Hanukkah. And then on the second night. Hanukkah, 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 Hanukkah. It's the second night of Hanukkah. Well, that was a very important aspect of the night. Another very important aspect that I eventually became in charge of was acquiring the latkes, which are a traditional dish that you eat during Hanukkah. You shred potatoes, they're spices, they're fried in little pancakes. You eat them with applesauce. They're delicious. You get the sweet and the savory, and you can eat them at night as you light the candle. But for some reason in my family, we always ate our latkes in the morning. And we didn't call them latkes. We called them hash browns. And we ate them in the morning because McDonald's closed at 10:30 and stopped selling them. But the most interesting part of our Hanukkah celebration, and what most people like to hear about, is the presents. Because you get 8 days of presents. And every morning I'd wake up and I'd run downstairs and see what the Hanukkah fairy left under our Christmas tree. Oh yes, I forgot to mention, we did have a Christmas tree. We didn't celebrate Christmas, but my mother and father really loved the accoutrements of it. So we would always put up a Christmas tree, decorate with ornaments, and decorate our house with the brightest lighting display in the entire neighborhood. But as I was saying, run down the stairs and look at the presents that the Hanukkah fairy gave us. Most people do the Hanukkah math when you tell them, if they're not Jewish, about the 8 days of presents. Like, oh man, I get 10 presents on Christmas, 8 days of, you get like 80 presents! Unfortunately, I had to break the bad news to them that the presents me and my sister received were, it seems like the Hanukkah fairy was visited by the same medical device sales representatives that visit my parents' offices. Because it would be a Adavir stress ball or a tuna pen and paper set accompanied by $1. But I feel really lucky because as I grew up and talked to other friends and met more friends who were Jewish, I learned that they did not have the Hanukkah fairy. Their parents just gave them gifts. And it's a very important part as I grew up is that just because it's a holiday and there's a way to celebrate it doesn't mean you can't make your own celebrations and traditions. So this last year, I got my own menorah, and me and my girlfriend sat around it. We sang the Hanukkah song. I bought us some hash browns, and I gave her a promotional pen.